Gentlemen, this is Riley Morris.
I was brainwashed when I was 17 years old. Gotcha. I was a normal high school student. I was in the film club. I had a bright filmmaking future ahead of me. I wanted to get to Hollywood as soon as possible to make movies. It's what I do now, and I love it. But in my junior year of high school, my friends invited me to this heavy metal, punk rock, hardcore Christian, tattoos and piercings church. And it was awesome. The people that were there were just incredibly welcoming, and their hearts were so warm, and it just became like a family. And it was great. For the next 4 or 5 years, though, it sort of gradually declined into just this angry, hateful, spiteful, controlling energy over my life. And it affected every relationship. And I couldn't see it at the time, but it was a tragedy that I was living with a smile on my face. About halfway through my time spent in the church, I got a part-time job traveling the country as a motivational speaker. The guy I traveled with, his name was Greg, and we shared hotel rooms and a minivan together all the time. And Greg was very different from me because he worked as a bartender, so he went out with girls all the time. I was still a virgin. Greg had done a lot of drugs in his past life. I never even gone near a cigarette. He had drinks and beer and wine, and I was very, very against every type of external influence that wasn't Jesus. And so Greg really pushed me into the wilderness because I was on the road with him constantly seeing the world through his eyes, just an absolutely normal, everyday person. And it was my job with the church to change Greg. Because one of the guys that Greg grew up with and knew about his entire life was actually one of the pastors of the church. And so they put this on me, this pressure, this power on me. It was my job to bring Greg into the fold, to bring him into the church, to convert him on the road. That was my job because I was 22 years old and I'd read the Bible once. I knew how to fix Greg. And I didn't need to learn anything from him, but I was learning everything, of course. The job was amazing. We dressed up like nerds. I had suspenders, pens in my pockets. I had a rubber chicken hanging from my hip. The show was unrelated to the church. It was an educational concept. We taught kids how to stand up to drugs, deal with bullies, and pressures at school. You know, how to not do what powerful people want you to do through manipulation. Kind of like what I was going through and didn't realize it. One time, Greg and I were on tour, and we ate dinner at this little Mexican restaurant, and there was this tiny yellow pepper. And I don't know if Greg was tired of hearing me talk about Jesus or not, but he bet me to eat this pepper, and I did. And after about 20 excruciating minutes, I developed this Ridley Scott alien growth coming out of my chest, ready to eat me from the inside. And I had never been in so much pain. I wanted to die. And Greg was right there for me. We were outside of the parking lot. It was raining. The streetlights were up. It was a really beautiful moment. And Greg told me I needed to make myself vomit. And I'd never done anything like that before because I was in a cult and hadn't really lived life. I'd never gone drinking before, so I didn't know about hangover cures. So Greg offered to put his own fingers down my throat to ease my pain. And that was obviously one of the most ridiculous things that anyone has ever said to me. So I said, "Why the hell would you offer to put your fingers down my throat?" And he said, "Well, I've done it before." And I'm like, "Why are you walking around putting your hands down people's throats?" And he said, "Well, I've saved friends from ODing this way. And I want to save yours." And in that moment, I'm down on my knees. Greg's offering to jam his fingers down my throat to save my life. And I look at this guy, and I see his eyes for the first time, and I realize suddenly that for the past 3 years that I've been on tour with Greg, I've been trying to ram my truth down his throat, trying to save him. And mine was out of manipulation and agenda and planning, and his was out of pure, total, unconditional love. Seeing somebody in pain and wanting to help. And that concept was so completely foreign to me that I cracked. And it changed absolutely everything for me. I left the church shortly after then. I quit that job after a time. Greg and I are still very good friends. He's like a brother to me. I left the church. I kind of ghosted from it, didn't really know what to do. I just knew that wasn't where I needed to be, and that kind of worldview was just too constrictive for me. And everything's been so much more beautiful ever since I left. That was about 2010 when I left, and it's been fantastic. About a year ago, somebody from the church contacted me, and he said, "Hey, I'm working on a documentary about the church, and I'd like your help with it." He said, "The only problem is I'm missing about 6 years worth of footage." The cool thing about this is, overjoyed as I was about helping on the documentary, I got to actually tell this guy that I can save this film, because while I was there for 6 years, I was filming behind-the-scenes interviews, B-roll coverage, tour coverage. I got 6 years worth of stuff, and I just held on to it for every single move. And so what I thought was doing God's will was actually sort of setting myself up to do exactly what I always wanted to do, which is come make movies in Hollywood. Through that pain, I've been able to achieve that. Thank you.